So I'm back. So I want to talk about Dr. Umar real quick about his interview on Art of Dialogue that he doing. And Dr. Umar they had a lot of interviews with a lot of people. I made a video about him months ago about some of the same stuff that he said again on Art of Dialogue. He been doubling down and following up on it. I'm gonna play some clips in a minute, some clips I kind of broke down from his interview with Art of Dialogue, and I'm gonna touch on what I'm speaking on in this video after y'all watch the short clips. So, because I want to give context and I don't want to misquote him. I want y'all to hear straight from his mouth some of the things that I'm gonna touch on. But before I play the video, I just want to say, well, I'm gonna play the video first, and then I'm gonna give my response and talk about Dr. Umar. So I'm gonna let y'all see what he said that got me rubbed the wrong way, and that a lot of the stuff that he's saying is false, or he not telling the whole story.
My son told me not to be bothered with y'all, but because you are his parents, because he would have never existed without you, because if y'all don't give birth to Kobe Bryant, he never becomes my husband. I'm never in this financial position. Because of that, let me give you 1 mil. Let me throw him 5 mil. I'm not giving you no more, but I'm gonna give you 5 mil, but you can't come back again. Can we agree on that? Can we sign a non-disclosure? I'm gonna give you this 5 mil, but y'all can't come back. Fine, give us the 5 mil. She won't even throw them $1, bro. And then people get upset with me for being against interracial marriage. Listen, I'm not against white women. I'm not against red women, brown women, or yellow women. I am against the transfer of wealth out of the black community to white people who have taken enough from black America. Why are we marrying Asian women? Why are we giving our wealth to them? Why are we marrying white women? Why are we giving our wealth to them? We don't have enough as it is to rebuild black America. And you out here marrying women who you know going to take you to the cleaners when you no longer a celebrity, when you no longer got any money. Look at Michael Strahan. I just read an article the other day that Michael Strahan's white ex-wife, who already received $16 million, I believe was the amount in the divorce settlement, plus a certain monthly allotment, she said that's not enough. She wants more money. And then I read some time back that RG3, the former NFL quarterback, he married a snow bunny, divorced her. She took a sizable chunk of his wealth. She wants more money. Tiger Woods' girlfriend sued him last year for putting her out the house, and she was not even his wife. What are we doing? What are we doing? When you are no longer making that money, these white women leave you, and they're going to take as much as they can get on their way out the door. But compare. So when I said Eminem cannot be the GOAT, I never said he couldn't rap. I never said he didn't have talent. I simply said he can't be the GOAT. No more than DJ Khaled could ever be considered the GOAT as a DJ or producer, because you are not African. So a lot of hip hop artists took offense. They came out of the woodworks with their unlicensed law degrees and served as Eminem's expert lawyer and publicist. How dare you manipulate your way into 50% ownership of the most powerful music company in the world? They murdered Michael Jackson. He should have never come back to the LA Staples Center to practice for those concerts. He was living with his brother in Dubai. He should have stayed his ass in the Middle East. Michael Jackson is my all-time favorite recording artist. Tupac Shakur is my all-time favorite rapper. Whitney Houston is my all-time favorite female vocalist. And all three were murdered by the music industry with complicity from the white power structure and the FBI. Prince was murdered because Prince didn't want to turn over his unpublished music to that record label, and they manipulated him into this agreement that basically said, if you let us remaster the 25th anniversary Purple Rain album, if you let us remaster the 25th anniversary Purple Rain album, we're going to give you back all your publishing. That was nothing but a setup for a takeout. He never got the publishing back, or they might have gave it back to him, but soon thereafter, he ended up dead. And from what I last heard, That same company that murdered Prince, they now have most of his unpublished music. And you do know that Michael Jackson's estate sold a sizable portion of Michael Jackson's catalog, back to the company that murdered Michael Jackson. And on that Michael Jackson note, did you just see how his so called son, the white boy Prince Michael, is not willing to give Mother Jackson, Michael Jackson's mother, needs some money? And Michael Jackson's fake Caucasian son won't give his black grandmother any of his so called father's money. That's happening.
So getting into it, I know it was so much. I tried to break it down as much as I could because I didn't want to post the whole thing. But getting into Dr. Umar and what he said. So let me start off by saying this, that only reason I'm doing this video is because I do like Dr. Umar. I did like a lot of the stuff that he said. If you would have talked to me about 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been one of the biggest Dr. Umar fans. It's nothing negative that I would have said about him. I've been following Dr. Umar for at least 5, 6 years. And, when I first got introduced to him, I really looked at him as like, like one of the real black leaders of this time, because we really don't have a lot of pro-black people and a lot of people speaking about black issues. So I was really like giving him his props. And I like, Dr. Umar way more than like a Tariq Nasheed. I know a lot of people like Tariq and look at him like a black leader, but it's a lot of stuff that I seen early on with Tariq that that looked at me, that had me thinking like, no, like it's an image. Like some of the stuff we saying is right, but just like come to find out with Dr. Umar is that they just doing this for money, and this is just, they hustle for the most part. And for Dr. Umar, I didn't believe that at first. It's just taken like maybe the last year or two to where I'm starting to really realize that. But Tyreek, I noticed that early on. Like he don't like, yeah, some of the stuff he's saying is true, but a lot of this stuff he just, race baiting, and he know where his hustle and his market is at, basically. So with Dr. Umar, so yeah, so that's my experience with Dr. Umar and how I feel about Dr. Umar. I was a huge fan, but over the years, I'm still a fan because I do still believe what he stands for and a lot of the stuff that he says, but some of this stuff, like I said, is just BS. And I look at it, how can I put this? Like, I like Dr. Umar for the same. Oh, that's what I'm getting to. And our main problem with Dr. Umar in the black community, this is the number one thing I have to say this. But this is the most important is that somebody that said this before, so I'm not the first person to say this, but this hasn't been said enough, is that for some reason in a black community, if somebody is charismatic enough or if somebody is well spoken enough, we believe everything that they say. And that's usually what happens with our pastors, public speakers. This is what Obama did. Like if you a black person and you know how to, and you charismatic and you know how to talk that talk, black people will believe anything you say. Black people will follow you. They don't like, we don't look into the substance of what the person's saying and the actions behind it. Actions are supposed to speak louder than words, but for the black community, we don't go by that. We believe words over actions. And it's been proven time and time again, like I said, with our pastors, with Obama, with all of these people, because they talk so good and so well that it really hits you and really have you feeling what they saying. But when you deep dive into what they're saying and their actions and their lifestyle and stuff, it don't line up. And it's just looking like, like they just saying what they have to say, and it's all about the money. We've seen this from a lot of our black pastors who then hustled and became rich. We've seen this with Obama to become president. Once Obama became president, and he know, because my only problem with Obama, because like people always like to say that Obama knows that a big reason that why he won was because he black, and he know that he had a lot of black people turn out for him. So for him to not make the black community his number one focus when he get into office, and like people always say all the time, even Dr. Umar says is that Obama did more for the LGBTQ community than he has for the black community. And that was always a problem. Like, regardless of you doing, and that's cool, but as the first black president, you was the one that black people was depending on to tackle some of our issues that you know about. But we can argue about the Congress and Obama, because I know how politics and I know about the Congress and the three systems of the government, and they all made so one won't be more powerful than the other and all of that type of stuff. But if that's the case, then like I always said, is that why do we even vote for the president? What's the point of having a president if the Congress get to decide what happens anyway, or if they can veto anything that he decides to do? So it's like, what is the point of the president, and why do we put so much emphasis on the president versus the Congress or other people who has just as much or more power than him? But that's another subject for another day. So getting into what Dr. Umar said and why I said this is the problem is that, because like I said, Dr. Umar sounds good with what he's saying, but what he's saying, a lot of it's not true. So first we're going to talk about the whole Eminem thing. Because he said this before on the Joe Budden podcast initially, and this is where it all comes from. So with Joe Budden, with Dr. Umar saying that Eminem can't be the GOAT, basically because it's a black platform, basically, and no white person can be the GOAT of a white, a white platform or a white culture or something that basically black people made up. Like if black people invented it, no white person can be in charge of that or the face of it or the GOAT of that. Now, of course, I do agree with it to a certain degree. It does make sense to a certain level. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite because I have one of my boys is um a big rap fan, and his favorite rapper is Eminem. And I'm a huge Eminem fan. I We can get into that later. I do feel like Eminem is one of the greatest of all time. You can't deny that. But the reason why I don't have Eminem as the GOAT, I have Eminem probably second or third, behind Nas, and then you see Tupac right there, who's my favorite rapper. And when I get into it with my boy, because my boy always like, why isn't Eminem your favorite? And you know how good Eminem and stuff. And then, truth be told, is that I feel like that part, the thin line when it comes to closeness, when it comes to being close, I do bring down to race because I can relate more to Tupac than I can to Eminem, even though I relate a lot to Eminem. And like I told him, because he is white, like I can understand Eminem being your go, but you being white because you can identify, and a lot of his stuff might resonate more with you than like Tupac. Like Tupac speak a lot about, or he did speak a lot about black issues, and I feel like his album "Me Against the World," it's like the black man's Bible. And Tupac made a lot of music for the young black male that black people can understand. But I think that Eminem and Tupac, they both, and why Eminem and Tupac is both considered the best rappers. Like if you poll, it's always Eminem and Eminem and Tupac is the highest selling rappers also. So for that reason, I think it's because they make music that can relate to anybody. A lot of white people love Tupac, and a lot of white people' favorite rapper is Tupac. Just like Eminem do have a lot of fans. A lot of people like to say, and which I'm gonna get into too, is that black people love to say that the only reason why Eminem is as big as he is because he white, and Eminem only got white fans, and that's a lie because that always get shot down by one simple, or like it's easy to shoot it down and nobody has a response for it, and it just makes black people look dumb when y'all say this. Is that if Eminem only sold because he's white, why isn't all the other white rappers selling as much as Eminem? Why isn't the top 10 highest selling rappers of all time should be all white rappers then? If that's the case, if being white makes you sell a lot of records, then Machine Gun Kelly should still be rapping. He shouldn't have switched to rock and roll. Machine Gun Kelly should be going platinum every album. Uh, Paul Wall, because a lot of people might claim that Paul Wall is even, more in the black culture from Texas. And, Paul Wall looked like one of them white dudes who got a black girlfriend and, wearing the grill and all that. Paul Wall should have been going 5 times platinum like Eminem. Um, who else? You got Macklemore, Logic, who's mixed. So technically, by a lot of black people standards, he's he's black, but he looks white. He should be the best of both worlds. He should be going 5 times platinum. Like, why aren't all of these other white rappers going platinum and selling a bunch of records like Eminem if all it takes is to be white? Like, that's how you know that is BS. Like, you have to give Eminem credit that he's a good talent and that he's one of the best rappers and he can rap better than most. Now, does him being white play a factor? Of course, Eminem even made a song about it on White America. So I could even defend Eminem if I wanted to, because Eminem himself believed that the reason that he sells so much is in part because he white. Because like he said, if he was black, he would have sold half of what he sold. So he's not selling that he wouldn't have sold at all. He just wouldn't have sold as much, which I do believe. Of course, that plays a factor, but that's not the only factor. It's because he's real great and one of the best rappers on top of being white. So it's a double. It's like it's a combination of the both. It's not as simple as Eminem is trash or Eminem don't make music that people like. So he just sells a lot. Like, that's not the case. Like, he's better than all the other white rappers and a lot of black rappers, and he makes songs that's catchy, and he was marketed right and everything like that. To a lesser degree, it's the same with Drake. Because like I said about Drake, is that Drake benefits from having the image of him being mixed and Jewish does play a factor of him being as big as he is, but we can't deny that Drake knows how to make hit song. So it's both factors. Like, so you stop saying the only reason that Eminem says is white. At least tell the truth and say the only reason why Eminem is as big and sell as much is because he's white and he's a great rapper. Like, put the two together. Like, you have to give him his credit and stop saying that Eminem don't have no black fans when that's not true. Like, I'm black and I'm an Eminem fan, and I'm not the only one. You think I'm the only black Eminem fan that there is? And like I be telling people is that a lot of people, if you young, you should speak on this, because when Eminem was at his height, the early 2000s, Marshall Mathers LP, Eminem show, I'm in Detroit, so maybe it's different because Eminem was from Detroit and rap Detroit. But I remember this is when people used to buy albums and there was record stores. I remember going to the record store and seeing a line with black people in it waiting to buy the Marshall Mathers LP. I remember people listening to the Marshall Mathers and the Slim Shady LP. My stepdad and my real dad both had the Slim Shady LP on cassette, listening to it in the car. So we need to kill all that. Then Eminem was associated with Dr. Dre, which, like he said, in white America is why he got a lot of his fans, is because of the Dr. Dre co-sign, which I agree with. So a lot of people listen to Eminem because he was on the Chronic, and a lot of people like the song "Forgot About Dre" and some of Eminem songs. Like, we need to really kill it. Like, Eminem was looked at as the crazy white boy that we all know. There's a plenty of white boys in the black community. Like, Eminem just fit into that because like he's the crazy white boy that we all know in the hood or wherever. So how is it all of a sudden don't nobody black people don't like Eminem or listen to Eminem? That's some bullshit. So but getting more to what Dr. Umar said, because Dr. Umar did say that he does think that Eminem was a great rapper, and he does think that he can be one of the top rappers, just not the GOAT. So to a degree, like I said, I do agree with that, because Tupac and Nas exist, because Nas is another rapper. That's why I said Eminem is like second or third. I battle between him and Nas as being my second favorite rapper behind Tupac. But Dr. Umar logic also doesn't make sense, which I can't argue, is because, for one, like somebody else has brought up when he first said this on Joe Budden podcast, is that if Eminem can't be the GOAT because it's a black thing and a black culture, that's basically saying that Tiger Woods can't be the GOAT. And this is where the hypocrite is hypocritical, and I can't be a hypocrite and say that black people don't do the same thing that they criticizing Eminem for. Is that we praise Tiger Woods and people call Tiger Woods the GOAT, and Tiger Woods was so popular because he was a black person in a white person's sport, because he was the first black person to be really good at golf. And we championed him and gave him all of the credit. And some black people call Tiger Woods the GOAT just because he's black. So why can't white people do the same for Eminem, or people do the same for Eminem? That's the problem, and that's where it's hypocritical. Is that we did the same thing for Tiger Woods that people do for Eminem. So why? So like like so that's hypocritical. So we okay with champion Tiger Woods for being the best golfer just because he's black? I mean, yeah, just because he's black, but we can't. People can't champion Eminem for being a goat because he's white. And then on the other note, like people were saying too, is that Michael Jordan can't be the GOAT of basketball because the person who invented basketball, what's his name, Naismith or whatever, he was a white man. So white people technically came up with basketball. So that means that no black person, Michael Jordan can't be the GOAT. It got to be Larry Bird or something. I mean, if we just want to be fair and tell the truth, like we got to stop with this hypocrite. Like just because it's a black, like you can be the GOAT of something just because not, just because somebody else race made it up. Because that means in a lot of stuff that means that anything that white people did made, black people can't be the GOAT of. Like that's what I'm saying that Dr. Umar don't want to have that talk because by his logic, we can't call Tiger Woods to go. We can't even call Michael Jordan to go because we didn't invent basketball or what the NBA is or whatever. So he can't be the GOAT of the NBA because a white man made the NBA. And we know that that's BS. So that don't have nothing to do with it. And Dr. Umar is wrong and not telling the whole story. And then also is that I don't because like I said, I don't because Eminem is not my goal. But if somebody says Eminem is their goal or a black or white, I can understand because Eminem is in the conversation. That's my whole point. Is that if you younger or maybe you didn't do your history, which is your fault, which you should do. But if somebody, like it's not just crazy to say that Eminem's the GOAT, like how some people try to say. Like Eminem is not even a top 10, top 20 rapper. Like that's BS. No, love him or hate him. His impact, because in order when we talk about GOATs, it's about impact. Regardless if you like somebody, they have to have the impact. It don't matter how good you rap, just like it don't matter how good you is at basketball. If you didn't have an impact on the game, you can't be in the GOAT conversation. And you can't deny Eminem impact. He's the highest selling rapper of all time, love it or hate it. He has Grammys. He has the highest selling rap, considered hip hop movie with 8 Mile. Like you can't deny Eminem impact. He like his name is all over the record books and in his hip hop history. You can't take Eminem out of hip hop. So his impact is there, and then you can't, like I said, you can't name me 5, 10 rappers who can rap better than Eminem. We could talk about content or whatever. And then, like I said, Eminem content, and this is what I told people before. I remember back in the day, I got into it with an argument with somebody is that Eminem got better content than Jay-Z do. Like Eminem has more songs talking about real stuff and real relatable stuff than even Jay-Z do. Like people who say this stuff about Eminem, I don't think that y'all listen to Eminem. Y'all just go by the same stereotype and dumb stuff. Like y'all listen to Kill You or his songs about being a serial killer or his hit singles like The Real Some Shady, the funny, goofy songs. But like y'all haven't really listened to Eminem albums because I can name so many Eminem songs that anybody, the average person can relate to that's deep. His biggest song is Lose Yourself. Lose Yourself is a motivational song talking about, motivating yourself to accomplish something and go for your shot in life. The opportunity, this opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Like that's a motivational song, and that's his biggest song. Then he got songs about his daughter, Mockingbird, Haley's song, my dad's like who 97 Bonnie and Clyde, who can't, like if you have a daughter who can't relate to Mockingbird, a song talking about wanting to do better for his daughter and being poor and all of these things. Who can't relate to that? Eminem got songs about being poor and broke on the Some Shady LP. The song Rock Bottom, the song If I Had. These are songs talking about living in poverty. Who can relate to that? Eminem talks. What other? Eminem got songs. Really, the whole 8 Mile soundtrack is that whole 8 Mile soundtrack is basically motivational songs, talking about songs about talking from rags to riches. The movie 8 Mile is about being an up and coming rapper. Like like it, like who, like y'all can't really be listening to Eminem for real. And there's so many other songs. Toy Soldiers is about ending rap beef or ending beef before somebody dies. What else? There's so many Eminem songs. Superman is my favorite, probably my favorite Eminem song is Superman. And that's a song talking about, being in a bad relationship with women, not trusting women. Basically, the Red Pill song. Like I said, Superman is one of the biggest or one of the best Red Pill manosphere type songs. It's a song talking about women. I mean, and there's so many other songs too. So I'm like, what are y'all talking about? But anyway, I'm gonna move off of Eminem. Like I did already made my point with that. Then get into Eminem. I mean, Dr. Umar talking about Vanessa Bryant and interracial relationships. Because it's always, I think the last video I made was about that. And one of my biggest problems is with Dr. Umar and interracial relationships. Now, on the surface level, I do agree with Dr. Umar that ideally black people should date black people. We should stay with each other. That's the ideal situation. We should keep black families. Everything should be like that. But I live in reality, and Dr. Umar need to live in reality, and that's that I'm not gonna sit up here and just blame the women, but a lot of it is the women part for reasons I gave before. But my whole point is that we can't ignore why a lot of black men, because it's usually always on black men. Nobody, and that's my problem with Dr. Umar also. He don't have as much smoke for interracial when it comes to women. Because like you seen in the video, he always talking about the men giving they wealth. He don't like when are you talking about Serena or Venus, whichever one is married to a white dude. Eve married to a white man. Um, like it's a bunch of black women that's married to white men, and that's Candace Owens or whatever her name is. She said she married to a white man, but she speak on black issues. So it's like, why don't he have as much smoke for them as it is with the men? And then, like people always say, and which people always say about Dr. Umar, and he have to eat the bullet, is that why aren't you married to a black woman? Why ain't you giving your wealth to a black woman since you care about it so much? Dr. Umar's in his mid 40s. You in your mid 40s and you haven't married no black woman. Why is that if you care so much? Like it's hypocritical, and that's why I say it's BS. Like you mad at black men for marrying white women and not being with a black woman when you not even with one. And you the made one a baby mama, the same stuff that you talking about. It's hypocritical. And Dr. Umar don't want to admit is that the main reason why he's not probably not with a black woman is the same reason why a lot of black men not why they went with white women is because a lot of black women is not worth marriage material, and we have a lot of problem with our women. Not all, of course, there's no all and everything, but we know about these sexy reds, the whole female rap culture um that our black women follow. A lot of women is like black women like to say sexy red is not an imitation or a representation of a lot of them. Then I always say, how is she so big? She's not big because of white people. um Now you can say, oh, she's doing white people stuff, but it's black women who initially made her bigger. And like I always say, pull up a sexy red concert, all you're gonna see is black women in the audience, that look just like her. So, and then it's not only that, we already know all of these, stereotypes, which I don't have to get into about black women liking thugs and criminals. Like, I'm not the first person to say it, but I have seen it firsthand, and I do believe that black women choose the worst black men. The upstanding, the nerds, the 9 to 5 black men, a lot of black women don't want them men, and that's why they go to white women. We already know about all of the stories of so many black men saying that black women called them lame, and black women want the dude who's 6 feet to do the jailbirds. The jailbirds get more play than dudes in college. All of that stuff, I do believe, and I've seen it firsthand. And I'm not the first one. This is a known stereotype, but I do believe that. Then we get into whether it's the black woman's attitude, not being as friendly. I mean, all of this stuff that been said so many times by so many people. So, my point is that Dr. Umar don't never talk about this. Don't talk about he always, oh, black men hate they self and they self haters for dating white women, but he don't never want to speak on the problems and the issues that we always say. He want us to just deal with it, and that's bullshit. And that's what I said before, is that at the end of the day, you got to put yourself first, because it's your life. So yes, I do think that you should be pro-black and care about your race, but you can't care about your race over yourself. I'm sorry. You have to make yourself happy. Like I shouldn't be forced to date black women if they're not checking for me or if they're not treating me right, just to stay loyal to my race and not make myself happy. When there's somebody else, like basically what Dr. Umar is saying is that even though these black women that you meet might be curving you or treating you badly, and then you meet a white woman and she's treating you great, you should say no and deny her and just keep on searching for a black woman until you find one, and you might not ever find one. Instead of just being happy with who you found. Like it just doesn't make sense at all. And that's why I disagree with them about the interracial relationship. And then he talking about keeping the money in the black community and these white women take black men money, which is bullshit. Is that and then he said, like, like white women, it's a fetish and they only like us for sex and they only with us for money. Like, which one is it? Because that's already hypocritical. You say that white women only deal with us in the bedroom for sex, but then he said that they only talk to us for money. So which one is it? Is it because of the sex or the money, or is it because of both? If you say both, then that's hypocritical because that's all women. Every man knows like the main reason that all women gonna talk to you is because of your money and sex. That's especially black women. That's why I said, what is Dr. Umar talking about? Black women is more superficial than white women is. Like black women be the main one talking about, I ain't talking to no broke man. I don't want no broke man. And then if you bad in the bedroom, black women are gonna be the first ones to hold you. If you suck in bed, black women is gonna clown you way faster than a white woman would. So what is he talking about? He acting like black women and just stand with these men that's broke and bad in the bedroom. Like, no, that's not true. It's either or, because even when black women deal with dudes who don't have money, usually the jailbirds or the good looking dude, but that's because 9 times out of 10, he good in bed. It's either or. So he's saying the same thing. It's the same thing with white women. That they talking to men they either because they're good in bed or for their resources. It's the same exact thing. So Dr. Umar really needs to, kill all this. They're talking about some we giving our money back to the white community. And now this is hypocritical also, because if we giving the money back to the black community, then how the hell is mixed kids considered black then? That's why you people need to make up their mind. Dr. Umar says that mixed kids are black. I actually disagree with them. I don't say that mixed kids is black, but since we gonna go by what Dr. Umar said, if mixed kids is black and you giving it to your white wife, and if you 9 times out of 10 got kids with her, that is still giving back to the black community, because most of the money is gonna go to your kids or her taking care of your kids, which is considered black. So it doesn't make no sense at all. And then as a man, let's be real, we don't give a fuck where our money goes to, if it's going to a woman, if she black or white. It's like basically what Dr. Umar is saying is that it's okay for a black woman to put you on child support or to take half of your money, but it's not okay for a white woman. Like it doesn't matter either way. We don't want a woman, regardless of our race, taking our money. It doesn't make it better if that's just because she's black that she's raping us in court. Like, come on now. Like the stuff just don't make sense. And like I said, it's that Dr. Umar, just like Derek Jackson, is that they say stuff to get money, and they say they know where their audience say. They say stuff to, to fit the demographic and the key, and they play to black people victim mentality. And that's how I'm gonna end this. That's what it's all about, is that they feed into the victim mentality. Dr. Derek Jackson did it with black women, telling black women that, oh, men uh black men cheat too much and you need to lead them and you need to respect yourself, and this black man do this and it's the black man's fault, just to come to find out that he was cheating on his wife and doing the same exact thing. So he don't even believe the stuff that he's talking about. He just saying it to make black women feel good and to get money out of them. The same thing for Dr. Umar is that Dr. Umar don't believe the same thing, because like I said, if you care so much about marriage and you care so much about black family, you would have one. Why aren't you married to a black woman and y'all have kids in a black family? Like, I would have respected more if LeBron James spoke on this. At least LeBron could say, I got a black wife with my black kids and I've been there with them. So, like it just doesn't make sense. And I'm not even gonna speak it to the school thing, because at first like I said, I defended Dr. Umar for years and years about the school, because I knew that it take time. And like he said, he's not taking no white people handout. He doing everything himself. And then I seen him, he did build the school. I seen the building and everything like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe he is doing it, but like somebody said, it's been too long. Like, it's been like 10 years or whatever. He got the building, and then I started to notice that it's always something wrong. He got the building, then the electric is messed up, then the plumbing is messed up, then it needs to be this, then it needs to be that. Like, it's always an excuse. Then he said that it was gonna open, I think last year or the year before. Then he said it's gonna open this year. We gonna see if it opens in September. Like, it's always an excuse of something pushing it back, which I don't understand, or which I don't get or like. And then Dr. Umar too is that he's popular enough for two things why this matters. That Dr. Umar is famous enough to where if he wanted a black wife, he can have one. Dr. Umar probably get a bunch of black women trying to talk to him and hit on him because he's famous. And he speaks to them, he talks to them. So for you to have a lot of black women to choose from and still not marry one, that says that either A, like I said, is that there's not enough black women to choose from, or you can't find one, just like most black men can't find a good black woman, or you just want to be a player and a pimp and just out here just having kids out of wedlock and just dating around, which is hypocritical to everything that you stand for. So either way, it's bad. And then two is that Dr. Umar, he does these appearances and shows. Dr. Umar is making money over these years. Like he's basically like a social media personality. And we know these people make money off of interviews. Like Dr. Umar is making money on top of all of these donations. Dr. Umar should have had enough money to open his school by now. With all of the money he made from his show, because even let's say that he is using all of the donations towards the school, and he keeping the money that he make from his appearances and YouTube, because he got a YouTube channel, he should be monetized. He's spending that for himself. Ain't no way in 10 years, all the donations you done got, you haven't had enough money to do everything you need for the school. And then, like you were saying, is that you can't get me to believe that all the fans that you got, that you can get black plumbers, black electricians to come and work for free just to help the cause. Like, it's just not making sense to me. But that's it. I done may already made this video long enough. That's why I just wanted to speak on Dr. Umar. And we need to get out of this victim mentality, because that's what's really holding us back more so than anything. Is the victim mentality and always blaming the white people, and everything is not about race. Yes, racism do still exist, and yes, some things do have to do with racism, but everything not racism. Everything, like somebody else said, I believe in classism more than racism. I believe that the reason why, like it's classism, it's about the money first. I'm sorry, we can still say that that don't change nothing, but when you get money, money talks, money talks basically. And that's where we at with a lot of stuff. And then there's a lot of black people that's living better than white people. And a lot of the problems that we have is self-inflicted. We know that we harm and kill ourselves more than white people do. Like Dr. Umar still keeps speaking on white cops killing us and all of this. We kill each other. Like in Chicago for one weekend, black people didn't kill other black people more than a white cop has the entire year. Like you don't have 30 white cops killing black people in a year like you would have in Chicago over a weekend or in a month, 2 months time. Like, we kill each other more. We rob from each other more. We talk shit about each other more. We talk down on each other more. We inflict more pain to each other than white people do. Let's just be real. So Dr. Umar need to start speaking on that instead of just, oh, white people this and white people that. He need to speak on the problems that we have amongst each other. And I'm out.